Are we seasick yet? Guys, welcome back. This is Eric here with Guitarsenal, and today we're going to be taking a look at a very special piece of musical equipment. This is a vintage, I'd say mid-60s Magnatone M10A, and you guys know that we love our Magnatone amplifiers here on this channel. We had some seasick pitch shifting vibrato going on there in the intro, definitely on the upper end of the spectrum of what the amp can do in the way of vibrato. These amps are wonderful. We've already done a demo on the M8, which is another series of amplifiers, another series in this line of amplifiers. These are very popular with Magnatone in the mid-60s. They had an entire range of these amps. If you go to the Vintage Magnatone Amps website, which we'll link in the description box down below, you'll be able to see that there's a ton of these amps out there in different configurations. The M10 is a stereo amplifier with two 18-watt sides equaling up to 36 watts. And right now we're running stereo in the stereo setting. And we've got a nice pitch shifting vibrato. The M10A also utilizes a reverb circuit. It is a spring reverb. We'll let you hear the reverb by itself. Here's the amp, just no pedals, no nothing, and we've disengaged the vibrato. Very nice bit of reverb going on there. These amps are really neat. You've basically got a little bit more full-featured of a tone stack in the M10A versus the M8. The M8 is a little bit more of a simplified setup with just simple tone and volume knobs. The M8 sounds glorious cranked. Now we got this amp up a pretty good bit and it's starting to break up, but it also gets some nice pretty shimmery cleans the way we've got it set up. You have a tone stack that gives you a mellow setting. You have a bright setting, and then we've got a tone boost setting, which is almost kind of like a cocked wah, all right? What I'll do is I'm going to set each of these channels to the mellow setting. Right now they're on the bright setting. We're going to leave the settings where they're at. You can see here on this channel we've got the bass in both cases kind of low, and the treble sort of in there getting kind of spanky. And the volume's actually a lot higher than I thought. These things are, oh, wait a minute. It is about cranked. Okay, cool. So we're running it full open. All right, I'm going to dial down the vibrato a bit as well while I'm over here. Here on the top of the panel, you can see there's an external speaker jack. You've got a lighted badge right here that's lit from both sides. And on the M-series amplifiers, you take these two screws off on the side. You can flip this entire unit around if you want the control panel on the back side versus the front. So that's another unique aspect of them. There is a standby mode. Here's the amp in standby. Be quiet for a second here. I'm going to hear him get the volume up all the way. You can see it's very quiet in standby. Here it is in normal operation, cranked. And let's hear how quiet it is. You can hear it operates quite quietly. All right, now we are on the mellow setting on both channels. I'm going to go through and let's just hear the mellow setting. Mellow would be more like an arch top or a jazz box. You got to think in the mid-60s, a lot of folks are still playing those types of amps or those types of guitars, of course. Maybe a 335. All right, here's the treble pickup, but in the mellow setting. All right, on the neck pickup, the mellow setting. right, so the mellow setting's definitely on the sedate side. We've already heard the bright setting. We're going to go over to the tone boost setting. Now this is where it gets a little silly. This gives the amplifier a characteristic that is very, very much like a cocked wah pedal. Okay? It is very, very, very bright. Oh, I can hear it already. There's no way I'm going to sting out a note on this thing. I'm going to back off on the tone control just about all the way. That's with the tone control almost all the way out on the guitar. So one thing that you can do, in fact, I mean you can hear it's quite very, very much like a cocked wah pedal. Let's hear that maybe on the neck pickup. I hear just a little bit of scratchiness that is really only evident on the cocked wah, you know, the super bright setting. I don't know if maybe that scratchiness could be just that particular setting being a little bit on the, you know, I don't know, maybe that is a bad sound for that amp, or maybe it's the pot's dirty or whatever, but I can hear a little bit of crackling. Oh, yeah. A little bit of crackling there. Let's see if we can get back to our standard bright setting we were on before. The bright setting, even on its own, and listen, there's definitely a noise floor that exists. And we're going to go back to the tone boost. Listen. I don't know if you can hear that. There's definitely a bit of a hiss. Now, to be fair, we've also got this treble boosted. Now, if I were to back off this treble, let's try that. Let's go back to the tone boost on each channel. Let's back off on the treble back to down to where the bass is, and let's leave the volume cranked. And let's get back on Mr. Bridge Pickup, and let's just see if maybe that mellows it out a bit. Because we had the cocked wah tone setting on there, and then we had the bridge pickup out all the way. We'll see if that makes a difference. Woo, definitely harsh. Yeah, that setting probably has its uses, but we're going to venture to say that's probably not something you want to do on a single coil guitar such as a Strat or a Telecaster. Just for reference sake, here's the neck pickup with dialing back on the tone on the amp, or the treble. It's got its own kind of flair, you know, on the neck pickup. It almost reminds me of an old Marshall. You hear that? That Plexi. It sounds like a Plexi a little bit right there. Yeah. maybe a little bitey for that purpose. But this amp has a very bassy characteristic to it, which was why earlier we had the treble up a good bit. A lot of these amps, you have to remember, they were meant to serve a dual purpose, not only for guitar, but also bass and accordion. And some of the later Magnatone amplifiers that came out were also touted as being a all-in-one sort of vocal amp as well, that the singer could sing through, the bass player could play through, and a guitar player could play through it. And they offered extension cabinets for these things that are really cool. So definitely a full-featured amplifier and a wonderful piece of Magnatone history, a functional piece of history you can take out and enjoy and play. Hopefully we did her some justice. I think I might be out of tune a little bit, guys. Let me check my tuning here. I think I bumped a string or two out of tune. Yeah, that G is out just a bit. Anyway, but guys, I've got it dialed back. I'm gonna let you hear it right here again before we go. Really cool piece of hardware. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Remember, we post every Monday and Friday here on Guitarsenal. Make sure you click the notification bell. We will be at some point comparing the M10 to the M8 and AB configuration, and also we have an M9 with a 15-inch Jensen that we're going to be doing a video on as well. So if you like Magnatone amps, you're in the right place. We've got a lot of vintage Magnatone here. We also have a vintage Magnatone 480 that we've recorded in stereo, as well as just playing around with different effects. So if you want to hear that, we've got a video on that, as well as the M8. So be on the lookout. Many more Magnatones on the way. Thanks for watching. A little bit more racket. Let's hear that vibrato.